Radio on TV. Don't forget us on Facebook, please. Come on board, be our friend. Just type in Porch Talk Radio. And then also, don't forget us at blogtalkradio.com. Just type in Porch Talk Radio online. You'll find us there as well. Eddie, got a great guest. Tell us about him.
Well, as I kind of say, there's a couple ways, you can do some male bonding. There was a show on where everybody was like grunting, patting on their chest and stuff like that. It wasn't quite that type of male bonding. But my good friend Scott, as I walked in the studio today, as he came in, his fiancée said that he was considered to be a bully. Yeah, I did say bully. And then I started explaining that we must be in good company because I went to the White House website one day and I saw that the Catholic Church was basically listed as a terrorist organization.
Yes.
So considering the topic we're going to talk about today, I find that we have very similar beliefs in most of the stuff in this topic. So I'm not going to belabor the point anymore. And I've already kind of told him we just talk. It's like sitting on the porch and having a conversation. Except today we're going to be talking about his topic. And we're going to talk about his topic a lot because it's close to my heart. Because anybody that know me know I truly believe in life. I think the spark of life comes from God. He gives it. And he takes it. We make too many mistakes as infallible human beings, especially when we kill people before they've ever had a chance to do anything wrong or do anything bad. And then we get the adults wrong too, because there's a whole bunch of people who died in an electric chair, a gas chamber, a hanging, a guillotine, however way we find to civilize, through civilization, to kill other humans. So again, I don't believe in death on either end. So that being said, Scott, kind of introduce yourself, and let's talk about what you do.
Thank you, Eddie. Well, I'm appreciative for you to invite me on your show, and I'm thankful to be here. What I'm doing is I'm the president of an organization called Florida Preborn Rescue, and it's a pro-life organization where we go to abortion clinics. There's 10 abortion clinics here in the Tampa Bay area. And it's a Christian, non-denominational organization where me and the people that I work with, we go to the clinics and we actually reach out to the women considering abortion and the men, and we try to talk to them about alternatives, adoption, pregnancy centers that are pro-life, try to get them to keep their baby or at least put it up for adoption. And it really affected me about 5 or 6 years ago. I heard a sermon at my church in St. Petersburg, and my church is Gulf Coast Community Church. Jerry Caesar's my pastor. And he preached on Mother's Day about the topic of abortion, and it really affected me that these things are happening in our communities, in poor communities, in black communities, and mixed race communities. And I just thought about how I needed to get more involved. And so I started this nonprofit ministry called Florida Preborn Rescue. And my goal is to be full-time, fully supported, fully funded, so that I can be on the streets every day in front of the clinics here in Tampa Bay area, reaching out and trying to rescue the preborn and their families from really the destruction of abortion.
Well, one of the things that I've kind of found out, and the emphasis on what everybody's basically doing is what happened after a female gets pregnant. And see, they don't think about all the hundreds of bad decisions that happen before you get to the point of talking about killing an unborn child. And they say, I'm not trying to make it sound good. I'm not trying to smooth over it, because that's what you're doing. It's not going to be a watermelon, a grapefruit, or a lemon.
Right.
At the end of this process, that's a human being. And somehow we've got disconnected by terminology, because we call it everything except that.
Right.
Viable tissue mass,
Right.
and other stuff like that to make it sound real scientific, as opposed to 50 years ago, we called them babies.
Right.
I'm just saying, maybe this futuristic thing where we come so far to we regress to being barbaric.
Right.
We can't call them kids anymore.
Right.
I consider them, part of the process that we go through is once they go through gestation, from the time the two male-female entities connect, the spark happens, that from that point forward is a human being.
Right.
That's the way I see it. I'm just
Right.
saying.
Now, if there's a heartbeat, we got a human being in there, because we're not listening for heartbeats of cats or dogs inside the womb of a woman, because we know that's usually not in there, because what's that saying? Oh yeah, like kind make like kind.
Exactly.
So we're not going to have a dog or cat.
Right.
But right now we know that out of 10 women dealing with pregnancies in this country, 3 of those 10 will have abortion by the age of 45.
Right.
And that's straight from Planned Parenthood's website.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean it's right. That just means that's what they're doing. So my question to you is, we also have, and by their website says, you now have options. If abortion is one of them, great. My question to you is, they give an abortion pill as well as the in-clinic abortion.
Right.
Is there, I guess the end result is still the same.
Right.
A life is taken.
Right.
Is there one you're finding more severe than the other? Is that abortion pill, I mean, the effects after it's all done is still, where are we?
Sure.
We still have psycholocal damage
Absolutely.
either way.
Yeah, there's psychological damage either way.
What about the physical side? Are we finding that abortion pill to be just sometimes as rough after effects?
Yes, and a lot of times the woman's not even sure that it'll just cause them to miscarry, or sometimes the woman's not even sure how far along they were, and so there's just a lot of guilt and pain that can go on there. In fact, it's funny you mentioned that, because the clinic that I go to on Saturdays is on Central Avenue in St. Pete, and they're actually starting now to just give women pills, and they'll give them a pill on one day, and then a couple days later they'll come back, and then the doctor will take out the rest of what was in there. And so a lot of clinics are starting to do that too. But yeah, the psychological damage to the women. In fact, just today I talked to a young black kid, probably 18, 19 years old. He came in a cab with his girlfriend, and I was talking to him, and I said, you got to realize she's going to be damaged for a long time because of what's happening today. And he just kind of looked at me and didn't seem to really
Well,
track.
you're going from a far-reaching approach, what's going to happen in life, because I've run across a couple of friends ladies that have been through it, and at 43, one of them, things are not well.
Yeah.
And this happened 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And back when the abortion pill became available in other countries.
Right.
And and I guess as normal human beings that care about babies, that care about life,
Right.
for us to run across people that had had the abortion already, not to come at it from a judgmental standpoint, but say,
Right.
you know what, things happen. You're at a point in your life you're realizing that maybe wasn't the right thing to do. And for us to either get you to counseling, pray with you, whatever,
Right.
but you need to move on now.
Right.
In other words, what's done is done, as opposed to just having a moral judgment on them.
Sure.
Because then suddenly we become the judges, like, well, gee, how perfect are you?
Exactly.
But
Not
saying,
very,
you know
but-
what, we have to accept you as you are, just as you accept us.
Right.
Let
And
me
love you
roll.
through it.
Let me roll in there.
Come on.
I am judgmental as hell.
Okay,
I'ma just
that's
throw
your
it out
call.
there. I am judgmental as hell, because if you look at how many mistakes and how many bad decisions and how many situations could have been avoided had they made one decision one way or the other, and that's the part of that. That's the part of it. We, as a society, has changed the concept of what it should be to actually get pregnant.
Right.
Because when I was a kid, and again, everybody, got stories, and I was a kid a long time ago, but if a girl got pregnant in high school, even though I know it takes 2 to tango, that process was different. It wasn't like she was coming to school and all the girls were rallying behind her. I can't wait to get pregnant. I can't wait to get pregnant. It was a stigma where she got pregnant. Oh, and some families would even take the girl and send her up north to friends or relatives and stuff,
Right.
and she would come back without the baby, because a mom or grandmama or somebody would take the baby so she can have the chance to have a good life. But now they made it such that, first of all, they got 400 million different ways to avoid getting pregnant.
Right.
First of all, that was 1950. We talking about we talking about 2014.
Right.
Okay, so you almost have to be from another planet to not be able to avoid that process.
Right.
And then once something happened and you actually get pregnant, I am not like Gabriel. When you get pregnant and them 2 cells come together and they start growing, that's a person.
Right.
I don't care if it got a heartbeat or not. If you don't kill it, it'll get a heartbeat. If you
That's
don't mess with it, all you do is feed it and breathe and do the
Sure.
stuff that you normally do, it's going to get a heartbeat.
Well, and the interesting thing too is there's by 8 weeks, by the time most women find out that they're pregnant, all the DNA is in there that will never change. The only thing that changes is just food and nourishment that everybody gets. I mean, the babies have heartbeats, fingernails, everything's in there ready to go. And so what we try to do is try to talk to them in a very short amount of time. When we're on the sidewalk, we say, look, Mom, you're already pregnant. We're here to help. We've got options for you. We've got help for you. Help's available. Around the statistics that we did last year when I was there on Saturdays, we had about 200 women that went in on Saturdays at this one clinic. About 30 of them took information that we had about the church that I attend and just some different information, and we had about 4 saves that we could see where women came out, said we're not going to do it, you know, and those are the really cool parts where you really know that you're making an impact. But even just our presence there has an impact, because there's people who you'll hear stories of people. I've had emails from women who'll say, I got up in the morning, was going to go to an abortion facility to have an abortion, and I prayed, God, if you're out there, send me a sign that whether I should do this or not. That she drives past the clinic, she drives up to the clinic and there's people praying, and so she says, that's the sign, I'm not going to do it. So just the presence, the prayerful, gracious presence at a clinic does a lot. And so I'm encouraging all the pro-life Christians in Tampa Bay to look up my website. I'm on Facebook, Florida Preborn Rescue. My blog is floridaprebornrescue.blogspot.com. I am a bully. The Voice of Choice is a radical pro-abortion website, has me listed as a bully, which I think is a sign I'm doing something right. So yeah, exactly.
Ooh,
yeah,
you bully. Hey,
that's right.
You know.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
But see, part of this process too is, and I do want to beat the point home, is that it used to be if you had to have an abortion, it scarred you so much to like you said, affect you the rest of your life. But society has changed. Now you got people having 4 and 5 abortions. Okay, so now it becomes its own source of contraception.
Right.
Okay, well, when all else fails, even though I haven't done anything else, I can always get an abortion. And now the government just made it so that that's even easier. So I am saying that at some point in time, the way life works, it's a pendulum. It swings to the right, it swings to the left. And when it starts swinging too far in either direction, something centralizes it. And from time to time, when it's things of basically morals, I think that's the auspices of the church. And from time to time, the church has to step up and do its part, and start making that loud noise. Because right now the government is basically saying everything is good. You know, we will pay for your abortion, we'll pay for your birth control, we will buy you condoms. I mean, all the stuff that 50 years ago, you wouldn't hear that kind of stuff talked in the back alley or in a nightclub or in a hoochie club. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
50 years ago, you didn't hear it. Now it comes on TV every day. You got the government say, yeah, go do this. So I'm just saying, we come a long way.
We have.
And at some point in time, and normal folks, because they're changing what normal is, it's evolving, and it's evolving, for as I'm concerned, for the worse. So normal keep going left, 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 left. And at some point in time, there's got to be pushback, or else society will corrode to the point of where we will no longer recognize it. And they call those times dark ages. You know, and then you go through this time, and hopefully it don't take 100 years for us to recover. You know, for it to push back to the other way, and then it go too far right. I mean, it's got both sides. It don't stay in the middle. It's always evolving.
Well, and I believe too, just like we can look back on slavery and say, okay, that was a horrible time in American history. How could people do that? How could people live that way? I believe that if the
those are the dark ages.
Those are the dark ages. I believe that in the same way, if the church really rises up and really does its job, we've got hundreds of thousands of evangelicals and Roman Catholics in Florida. I mean, and the clinics are they're advertised. You know where they are. They're not done in secret. There could be prayer vigils every day in those clinics, near those clinics. The sidewalk is still First Amendment protected. and we have that. So I believe that if the church does its job, abortion will be like slavery in a generation or two. We'll say we really did do that.
Now that you bring up the church, I really do pray for the leadership in our churches, because they become very spineless and quite useless, and that they're just kind of teaching this mediocrity religion thing. Don't offend anybody. Right. You know, if we looked at Christ's history of strolling around, he was here to take care of business. He delivered a message. It was right on point. It was straight. You didn't have to. I wonder what translation that means. No, it was straight, direct. That was it, and done.
And people got offended too, but that was fine.
Yeah, they were offended, but that was no big deal. It was on them.
Right.
In other words, somebody brought the truth to their front door, and it was up to them to respond however they did, and it was either for Christ or not. And now these churches nowadays, there's a lot of the pastors like, well, as long as you feel good, the blab it and grab it. You know, if you want a Mercedes, great. You know, just pray it, and oh, God will help you.
Right.
Wait a minute. What about those that are dying and slipping off to hell every day? What about us getting involved in organizations like yours? What about saving the unborn child? Oh, we're going to offend people.
Right.
Really? People are dying and going to hell, and you're concerned about offending someone?
Well, and a lot of it too, I've talked to a lot of pastors, and a lot of them, their reason for not touching this issue is they either think it's political, or they know that there's women in there, you know, 1 out of every 3 women have had an abortion, like you said, and they don't want to, they're afraid of being indelicate when they bring it up, or that someone may feel judgment. But what I'm thankful for...
I hear cha-ching in the background. Cha-ching,
yeah. Well, exactly.
Cha-ching.
And that's a problem too. And what I'm thankful for is that I have a pastor, and I'll just give him another shout out, Jerry Caesar in St. Pete, who is very faithful to just say, you know what, if you've done this, guys, if you've been involved with this, there's forgiveness through the blood of Christ, there's freedom in Christ, there's freedom from our sins, there's forgiveness in the gospel, and there's no reason to hide in the shadows. And it's funny, I'll get emails from women who say, I have to tell, I saw your website, or I saw your Facebook page, and I wanted to tell you that if...
What's the Facebook page again?
Florida Preborn Rescue. It's just the name of it.
Florida Preborn.
Preborn Rescue. And I use preborn on purpose because it sounds better than unborn. Unborn sounds like something you can discard, but I do preborn on purpose. But this lady emailed me and said, if there had been someone like you standing out there 20 years ago, I wouldn't have done it. She shared this whole story with me, and she said, my pastor doesn't know, my husband doesn't even know. And so there's so many women hiding out, and I emailed her back and said, you got to get into a post-abortive program, tell your pastor, tell your husband, if they're, you know, if they're great, you know, I'm sure they'll understand and want you to be free from this. But there's so much going on in the shadows that a lot of people don't want to touch.
You're delivering this message of forgiveness and love without a 2x4.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of religious people out there, oh, you're going to hell, and you know there's nothing to save you or help you.
Right.
Jesus likes you, but you know you're not really on the in club there, because that's just the religious people going crazy, because we have to be able to accept them in the kingdom, because for what they've done, we've all done our share of stuff.
Right.
And the word is very direct and very clear. It's black and white.
Yep.
If you sin, repent, accept Christ, move on.
Right.
But see, part of that process too is within the community, I mean the black community.
Okay, being specific, I got it.
Politics and religion has developed this unholy alliance where you have people standing in front of the congregation, people respect that person up there, and they're telling you to do and saying it's okay to do stuff that's not been right or good for 2,000 years, but now it's okay. I mean, the basic 10 Commandments, part of that whole verse scripture, if you don't learn none of the rest of it, you should get a feeling in your gut that tells you it is not okay to kill this unborn child.
Right.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes common sense and politics and religion get all messed up because you want to support the black president and you want to do what you think is good, and he's saying it's okay, I don't have a problem with it, but that's him personally.
Right.
He's going to hell for himself, not for you.
Right.
And so anytime, I think it's kind of like, you know, me and Willie had this conversation one time. Willie's one of our guys to help us with this show, and the star of, you know, Blame the Republicans, in which we have a good angel on one shoulder and a bad angel on the other shoulder, and they both were constantly talking to us. But the guy in the middle, the big thing in the middle, is the one that has to make the decisions.
Right.
And that gut feeling you get when you're about to do something wrong or put yourself in a compromising situation, everybody have it. It's just that we start filtering out the good angel,
Right.
and start listening to the devil.
Right.
And I'm making it as simplistic as I can. I'm talking to all you third graders and up. If you're in third grade, you should understand the difference between the devil and the angel.
Right.
Good and evil.
That's
That's
right.
what it gets down to. Sometimes it's really simple.
Right.
And I used to know a time when common sense was simple and common sense was common. It is not anymore because it's all become difficult.
Right.
And what they do is they screw with your mind. They try to confuse you. Oh, this is the new normal. No, it ain't.
Exactly.
The normal's been the same for thousands of years. It ain't changing.
Well, and the thing too in the pro-life movement that I think is important for people in the black community to know, as we talked about when we went to Applebee's, was the legacy of Planned Parenthood in this nation Planned Parenthood was founded by Margaret Sanger, who people can Google her name or Google the history of Planned Parenthood, who actually started Planned Parenthood as a way to get fewer black children. She believed that black children and minority children were, her word was, human weeds. This is a direct quote. So she thought they were sucking all the life out of our inner cities, and so if we can start birth control clinics and abortion clinics in these cities, we'll have fewer dependents. And that alliance too, you talk about unholy alliance between Planned Parenthood and the Democratic Party, or even just Planned Parenthood and a lot of churches, where most churches, if you ask most pastors, what's Planned Parenthood do? They probably would say, oh, it's, they wouldn't probably know. And so we just have to educate and get the word out about what the history of Planned Parenthood is, and the history of abortion in America is really
and in that
racist.
history, how can people go to your website? What's that website again? They can find
FloridaPrebornRescue.blogspot.com. Blogspot.com.
If they wanted to actually do old-fashioned, give somebody a call, because we kind of talking about, texting and emailing and tweeting and stuff. Every now and then, you may run across somebody that's old school like myself. You
still got that circle phone, that dial-up thing. You got to turn that.
Is there a number somebody can call to contact you? Because sometimes these people may need to talk to somebody.
Yes. 727-481-3354. And my
say it again.
Sure. 727.
Slow, so they can write it down.
Okay. 727-481-3354. And my email is floridaprebornrescue@yahoo.com.
All right. Now, because unlike Rush Limbaugh, he said that's the fastest 3 hours in television. It's the fastest 20 minutes in television.
Huge.
So I'm just getting fired up, just getting into it. So we got to get you back on the show again.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
So sometime when you could come and do, see, he holding up the sign, say 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah.
So we're gonna have to get you back on the show and do it in a time where you can spend like the whole show.
Sure.
And we can have you comment on the other parts of the show that we do. And, and even the second hour where the really, really smart people are at.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. There you go.
So
but you want me anyway. Wow.
Well, we show up, so I don't know.
But anyway, thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Give your information one more time, and then we're going to go to a break and then start the second part of the show.
Cool. Scott Mahurin. I'm on Facebook. Florida Preborn Rescue is my organization. My number is 727-481-3354. Email floridaprebornrescue@yahoo.com.
All right.
Great.
With that being said, we're going to go to a break.
Come on back, folks.
And then we come back, we're going to do something else.
Come on back.